Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, I love role-playing games. You probably love role-playing games too, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this channel. They can be a lot of fun, they can be very rewarding, it can be just, a blast. But sometimes we run into problems with them. And there's a myriad of things that can cause problems, but one of the things that can cause an awful lot of problems, or maybe I should say there's a lot of problems that can be caused by this one thing. What's that one thing? Get to the point, Ivan. Miscommunication, where we have our wires crossed, where we simply don't understand the intentions of the other person. And sometimes this can really be exacerbated when we're used to one style of play and we find somebody that has a different style of play and we simply don't understand what the other person's trying to do. And the specific thing I want to talk about today is when you're playing a character and the environment starts to resist you in some way, and you interpret that as the game master telling you you cannot go this way. You would start to interpret it as you're being railroaded, or you're being told you're going off track. Don't do this thing for whatever particular reason. And I'm just going to talk about examples that have happened either in games that I've been a part of, run, in some games I've been very familiar with. But it's those times when you go to shoot a dirigible, and the non-player character puts his hand on the barrel of your rifle and pushes it down and says, "Don't do that, you'll alert the Germans to our presence." It's the time when you decide that you're going to go off in a particular direction, but you encounter some kind of resistance from the natives, from something. It's the time that you start to, say, preach in a street fountain, and you get beat down by the authorities. You start to run into, very often, consequences. You do something and the world pushes back. And it can be really easy to interpret this as a player, especially if you've had been part of another game or another style of game. It can be easy to interpret this as the game master telling you that you're doing the wrong thing. Don't do that. Go this way instead. You've found the walls of what's acceptable behavior. Or maybe just the adventure is this way. You're getting too much resistance that way. Go this way instead. There's a lot of wisdom or opinion out on the internet that this is a good way to herd people. And I'm not here to say that's bad, but it depends upon the intention for play. But there's all kinds of tips and tricks of how to get your players back on track. And we've all been in those situations where we've been pushed back on track, or maybe we've gone to investigate a thing which we decided might be important. The game master decided it was not important, and so it's turned into this instant dead end, or for whatever reason, we go to chase the shiny thing, and the shiny thing is no longer there. Or we've been told, more or less, go this way instead. Or we've just encountered so much resistance that we get the impression, or we feel that we're being told, and maybe we are being told, don't go this way. It's too dangerous, or it's more likely, it's not the way you're supposed to be going. That's why you're encountering all this resistance. It's very easy to play in a different kind of game where it's a dynamic world, where there are real consequences for your actions, where logical things will happen as a result of you doing certain things, and interpreting that as the game master telling you, don't do this. And I can tell you from my own experience, the NPC putting his hand on the rifle and pushing it down was not telling the player of that character, don't shoot that. It is what that NPC thought. At that point, they were freaking the NPC out. I didn't care whether they shot or not. It would be really interesting if the game went in that direction and they shot the blimp and they alerted the Germans to their presence. This is why we play. We play to find out. At least it's why I play. Likewise, just because you start to run into problems when you do certain things on level 4, doesn't mean you can't do those things. It just means you can't do those things without some sort of consequences. It's not necessarily a message, hey, don't do that. It's a message that if you do that, this will happen, if you follow my meaning. So just kind of food for thought. Before you start to interpret the world pushing back on you as a signal from your game master to not go that way, or this is not allowed, maybe you should have that kind of out-of-game conversation. Is this what you're really doing, or is this simply the world pushing back? Is this you that's saying that, or is it simply the NPC that's saying that? Food for thought. What do you think about that?